I'm Kristen H. Cockruff. On the latest fantasy-focused baseball podcast, Eric Carroll and I did a mock draft Monday. We also talked draft values for Hanley Ramirez, Ken Giles, and Hyun-Soo Kim. You can find it in the Listen tab in the ESPN app.
This is the best of the Dan Levator Show with the Stugatz podcast.
Grateful, as always, to have Shane Battier with us in all show today. College legend, Game 7 legend. Does he get to be a Game 7 legend? He does in Miami, at least. I don't know if nationally. Does he get to be an enduring, legendary person?
I get some love.
Yeah?
I get some love.
Yeah.
Okay.
You deserve it.
Some love.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Where people associate you with hitting a bunch of threes in a Game 7.
I've probably had about 50 beers bought for me in bars.
Nice.
Based off the Game 7.
Nice.
All right. Okay.
So,
that's legend status.
Good,
The over-under on number of beers that you have to get to be a legend is 50. So that's the number.
That's a feather in my cap.
All right. Congratulations on that. Shane Battier last year, by the way, was in our tournament of looks-likes. I want to update this. Do you believe which one do you believe you look more like? Okay, because you are 5 seed last year, Arkansas, in last year's tournament. Shane Battier looks like a tennis instructor who gets a little too close to your wife. You do now. Do you look more like that than you look like a member of a barbershop quartet who would hold a hat over his heart while singing "My Girl"? Because you look, you don't like that one. You don't like that one. Oh, look, he likes flirty Shane. He likes lecherous Shane. He does not like barbershop quartet Shane.
You know, the tennis instructor thing, I think, encapsulates the je ne sais quoi. You know.
Okay.
Did
you just wink at me?
I got some
Did
swag.
you just hit me with French?
I got a little bit of swag.
You just hit me with French and winked at me. I am disturbed.
I don't have a lot of swag. I got a little bit of swag.
You got a little bit of swag.
Barbershop quartet, no swag.
You're disturbed. I have no idea what he said.
Okay. Yeah.
What does that mean?
All
right.
Somebody says that Shane Battier looks like he does the raise the roof gesture at house parties. Does he?
At one point, I did.
I can see you doing that.
Proving yet again that you don't have any swag.
That's it. That's actually coming back. You see people doing that now.
Is it? Okay. Is it? So you're visionary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. Very good.
I wore a headband in high school. All right. I wore a headband my sophomore through high school years in high school. All right. Before, it was swaggy. And I had more people say, Battier, take that damn thing off your head. You look ridiculous. What are you doing? And I go to Duke, 5 years later, everyone's wearing a headband.
But you weren't doing it for swag. You were doing it because of the efficiency of keeping the sweat out your eyes.
Actually, it
wasn't a fashion statement.
Pragmatic.
You weren't doing it to be cool. You were doing it, I don't want sweat in my eyes. You're the only guy actually using the headband for what it is that it's supposed to be used for. All right, let's update our tournament here. This was a bloodbath this weekend. We lost a lot of good teams, but we are down to our final 8. So Kansas, I thought Kansas was going to win the whole thing, and Kansas loses to Villanova, and so Kansas in our looks like tournament is gone. That means this is gone.
Jim Caldwell looks like the nervous armored car driver transporting his largest and last delivery. Suspicious his new partner might be up to something. Jay Cutler is his new partner.
Gone. Ouch.
Tough, man.
Ouch.
Yep.
Oregon's gone. I think Shane's. You want to rip somebody here soon, don't you? You want to rip?
Come on, Dana Altman.
All right, we'll get to that in a second.
Man.
We'll get to that in a second. Here is Oregon. Oregon's gone.
Russell Wilson looks like a Dolphin trainer.
Yeah, he does. Virginia's gone in stunning fashion, by the way. Virginia doesn't. I don't even understand what happened there. So Virginia's gone. That means this is gone.
Wade Phillips looks like a flabbergasted Boy Scout troop leader in the woods who can't find his way back to camp.
That hurts.
Yep, sure does.
And Notre Dame is gone. That means our 6-seeded Notre Dame is gone. That means this is gone.
Jim Tomsula looks like a construction worker in an action film shouting, "You can't go that way," as a car blows through a barricade.
All right. So that's gone. So that means these are our final 4. This is our tournament. This is what is left for us. See if this rings true with you here, Shane. Do you agree that Villanova, do you agree with this?
Jay Cutler looks like the guy trying to break into a house on an alarm company commercial.
You see it? You don't see it so much? Not so much?
I think you can do better for Jay Cutler.
All right. How about Oklahoma? Does this speak to you? Number 2, Oklahoma. Buddy Hield and them boys.
Wade Phillips looks like someone you would find on a bottle of barbecue sauce.
Okay, you like that one? All right, very good. Wow, he really likes that one.
I want to party with Wade Phillips. Man.
Really?
He
All
looks
right,
like
you and he can
he had a
raise
good
the
time,
roof together. Syracuse, represented by
Brad Nessler looks like he walked out of a 1920s gangster-run nightclub.
that deserves to be there.
Sure does.
That frankly deserves to be there. And then North Carolina, the favorite to win the whole thing.
Jim Tomsula sounds like a monster a Creole grandma comes up with to keep kids quiet. Keep quiet, or that Jim Tomsula is coming out of the swamp.
only because the stash brings it all together.
Yes, it does. That's right. So help me out with this, Shane, because this happened yesterday during the North Carolina game and it bothered me. Okay, so we extend these courtesies to the authority figures. So did you see, Stugotz, that Bryce Johnson threw a ball over his shoulder, just tossed it over his shoulder after play, got a technical foul, and they gave 2 free throws to Notre Dame. It wasn't thrown way up in the air. It wasn't. I mean, he didn't like the call. It was a bad call, but all he did was that, and he got a technical foul. And those coaches were lighting up those referees all game without getting a technical foul. And I found myself getting angry. Like, why are we doing that? First of all, it shouldn't be a technical foul on the kid, but it seems like we place the higher standard on the kid. And it makes me nuts.
It's these college coaches are unbelievable. That's part of the reason why I got out of calling the college basketball games. The things that these guys say to referees and their own kids, mind you, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Every coach is, we're a leader of men, we're shapers of young men. Like the way that these college coaches act over the first call in the first minute of the game. I'm surprised that more coaches don't have coronaries on the sideline reacting over a bad travel call.
But they're allowed. We keep it like the kid is not allowed. Like you're going to tee the kid up, and you are going to knock it out of him. The coaches continue to be allowed.
The coaches are the stars, though, Dan. In that sport, they're the stars. Like, who's likely to get a technical in the NBA? Is it LeBron James, or is it going to be a guy who's not nearly as big a star?
Scott, I'm infuriated, though, watching it. The kid didn't do anything.
Well, in college, we're getting into the whole, hey, you should be happy that you're in college and you get a scholarship. All that bleeds into how you act on the court. Well, you're lucky to have this.
Be indentured.
Be grateful. Be grateful. Be indentured. Stay in your lane. You're lucky to be here. Where would you be without us?
I hate it. Yes, Shane, but it makes me crazy. We keep giving more and more power to the guys who already have the power, and we give less and less to the people who are already powerless. Like that's what they did yesterday to the best player on the court. And it wasn't, did you guys see what I'm talking about? It was nothing.
Nothing.
It was nothing. He just flipped the ball over his shoulder. He's not like I thought when I saw the technical foul, did he bounce the ball and it went way up in the air? He didn't say anything to anybody. And furthermore, it was a bad call that gave him his 3rd foul.
Yeah.
If he was disgusted, he should have been.
Well, also, these referees have to take out their frustrations on somebody because they're getting berated.
But why not
from
the
the
coaches,
first
though?
minute of the game? And so it's a situation where the players receive the brunt of maybe the frustration of the ref.
That's the part that I hate, though, that the bullying just trickles down.
It does.
Like that's the part that makes me crazy. That yes, the coach. Bray, that guy looks right. That guy looks like I'm not accusing him of this, but he looks like he has absolutely either called people to put a hit on somebody or done the hit himself. I'm not saying he's done either of those things, but that's what he looks like that, and so it trickles on down from there. Shane, where they berate the refs all game, the refs don't do anything, and oh look, I could kick the dog when I get home. It's the husband who has a hard day at work, and I'm going to kick the dog when I get home and yell at my wife because my boss was mean to me.
What's the solution?
Oh man, that's a good question. I wasn't prepared for that question.
We were hoping
because I am a critic with no solutions.
Dan Le Batard.
Is there anyone, Serge, who refers to you by your full name?
No, I don't think so.
Can you tell the audience what your full name is?
Ibaka, Ngubila, Serge, and Jonas.
Stugotz.
Isn't your full name 10 words? Sir Jabulo Lamu Sayong?
No, that's not true. That's not my name.
Okay. I'm sorry I made that so awkward for you. Hell of a day we're finishing.
Yeah, it's okay.
This is the Dan Lebatar Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. We'll compare rates for you so you get the best deal, even if it's not with us, saving you time and money. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today. Guys, it is time for Straight Talk. It's presented by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, half the cost.
All right, there are some things I wanted to get to here, but since Shane Battier is in with us making the show better and smarter, he's got some straight talk on Dana Altman. We've been teasing this for, what happened? Why are you making a face? What happened?
You know what? Look, I watched the Duke game, and I saw the shot that Dylan Brooks took at the end of the game. All right, I have two bones to pick here. One is with ESPN, who puts the video on their front page and says, Dylan Brooks unintentionally insults Duke. First of all, the shot he took was from Steph Curry range with the shot clock going down. Game's out of reach. That's rubbing salt in the wound. All right? My 7-year-old son, Zeke Battier, who plays in YMCA ball, knows when you're up 10, you hold the ball. All right? So if my 7-year-old son knows that, Dylan Brooks, shame on you.
Wow. What? This Duke bias pouring forth.
But it gets worse. Dana Altman is sticking up for his players, saying that I told him to take that shot. Come on, Dana Altman. Come on. I understand you're sticking up for your guy, but you say, you know what? We talked about it. It's probably not the best shot. As a player, there's a code. There's a code. All right? If you're up at that point, you don't take it from Steph Curry range. All right? That's the karma gets you in the end, and they got him. Oklahoma used that karmic, and
karma gets you in the end. Buddy Hield got him in the end by scoring 1,000,000 points.
Do you realize how many schools your school has pissed off over the years?
We never took that shot though. We would take a shot clock violation versus take that BS shot. All right, now so Coach K got a lot of heat for calling out
because he lied.
That's where he messed up. But he was not wrong. He was not wrong in calling out Dylan Brooks. All right, listen. If you respect this game, you respect the people who have success. You may not like them. All right. You respect what they have to say. All right. I like to think if I was acting a fool and Dean Smith, all right, who was the head coach of our rival school, came up and said to me, you know what, Shane? You're better than that. You're acting a fool. All right? I may not like it, but I'm going to say, you know what? You've done it.
But when did you ever act a fool? You never acted a fool.
My rookie year, all right, played for the really bad Memphis Grizzlies. We were bad. All right, we won like 20 games, 23 games. We were really bad. Well, in Memphis, the first year the Grizzlies were there, they had a promotion that if the Grizzlies scored 100 points and we won the game, free chalupas for everybody. All right, who doesn't love a free chalupa? All right,
I mean,
there was not a lot to cheer about in Memphis that year. All right, so we're playing the Houston Rockets, and we have a great game. One of our 5 home wins that year. All right, 97 to 90. All right, like a half minute left. I hit a 3 to put us over 100 points. We're gonna win the game. All right, I walk down the court. And I give the universal chalupa sign. I pretend like I'm eating a chalupa. Yeah! It was the only time I've ever showboated in the history of sports. I'm giving the air chalupa sign.
Yes, it's wonderful.
And I knew at the time that this is too much. All right,
it is not too much. No, you were wrong.
There was not a lot of joy in Mudville that year. The fans were happy, so I'm like, you know what? Let them eat chalupas.
Yes.
As soon as the game ended, all right, Glenn Rice, the guy who I grew up, loving, idolizing, national champion,
who in this case is terribly wrong,
did his best. He made a beeline for me after the game, across the court. He said, "Hey man, you're better than this. You're better than this." And I asked my wife about this. I had major guilt that night. I said, "You know what? I was an idiot.
No, you're
I
wrong.
was a
That's
jerk.
absolutely wrong.
I was a jerk.
You were
'Cause I
wrong.
showed
How
them
about
up, and I never did it again, and I was embarrassed by my actions.
No, you were wrong.
And so
Glenn Rice is
I've
wrong.
been where Dylan Brooks has been. I gave the chalupa
and that was
sign.
joy, and that
I
was
gave
great.
the
And all these years later, that story remains great.
act.
Yep.
Walter Payton, Barry Sanders. Act.
Oh,
like you've
get outta
been there
here.
Oh,
before.
knock it off.
Get out of
He's
here.
never been there before. That's the
Get
point.
out of here. You've never been that close to the chalupas before.
Act
You
like
can be
you've been
forgiven
there
for your
before.
chalupa joy. Nothing is more delicious than chalupas. You got chalupas for everybody.
Not
You
worth
are a
it.
king.
Your self-respect is not worth the free chalupa.
Go to
But
hell,
Shane-
Glenn Rice.
Right, he should be embarrassed, Glenn Rice. But Shane, you guys are always there. Oregon is never there. That's why the kid had that reaction. Let him have his fun, man.
There's a difference between having fun. Golden State Warriors have fun. All right? Then they celebrate in their own way. They have fun, but it's respectful fun. And that's why I love them so much. All right? If you're a true champion, you can have fun and you can celebrate. Don't be a jerk.
Wait a minute. I've got. First
Don't
of
be
all,
a jerk.
we're gonna dig
And
deeper
Dana
into
Altman,
this.
don't stick up for being a
I'm
jerk.
gonna fight you during the break. Hold on a second. Just hold on a second, because you're standing up for your salty, sore loser, liar coach who behaved worse than Cam Newton after that game. Like Cam Newton did not lie to us. Cam Newton did not
He left the
lie
presser.
to us. Yes, he left the presser. Coach K sat there,
Lied during the
stayed at the presser, bullied the media with lies, bullied a kid with lies. Coach K worse than Cam Newton's press conference.
No way.
We'll get to that in a second. We will get
Stop.
to we will
Just stop.
you with the respect the game stuff.
Jump the shark. The show.
I can't believe you're
This used to be a
defending.
respectable show. What the hell happened?
I can't believe you're defending Coach. Well, I can believe it.
Well, how about this one? Because Charlie's a big North Carolina fan, so he's prone not to like you, Shane. There were 7 instances this season in which a Duke starter, took a shot in the final 45 seconds when Duke led by at least 15 points.
It was a walk-on.
Act like you've been there.
It was Paluca walk-on.
Your Duke bias is
Walk-on. Rudy.
going.
It was Rudy, for goodness sakes. Good. You people.
That is Straight
What do
Talk.
you mean, you people?
It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable network.
Don Le Batard.
Give me all the other games that have to be respected outside of sports, where it's not an absurdity for me to say, respect the badminton,
Stugats.
respect the Monopoly, respect the Yahtzee, respect the poker, respect the darts, respect the bowling.
This is the Don Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Jay Williams will join us at 12:15 on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Choose Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline for the best total engine protection you can get.
Texter writes in, thank you, Shane. I try to talk to my 26-year-old son about exactly what you were talking about. He's a good kid and would never intentionally embarrass another person. However, he would find nothing wrong with taking that Steph Curry shot, as culture today seems different than when I was playing athletics. It was always act like you've been there before, act like you've done it before, and be humble in victory from my coaches. I don't happen to believe I'm a dinosaur on this who has become extinct. Well, congratulations, Shane Battier.
At least you have one listener, viewer out there who has some sense. Congratulations. That's an improvement from last year.
Okay, but we're getting a little bit here also. Pretty weird watching Shane Battier morph into Mike Golick right in front of my eyes. Stugatz got mad at Mike Golick this morning on the way in. We got a lot happening off air here. Okay, off air. The off air show was better than the on air show because Shane Battier was still yelling, "Shame on you, Dana Altman," while pointing a finger. Stugatz was calling him "Shame Battier" because of the whole repressed chalupa thing.
He said he's ashamed of it.
I know. Shame Battier.
Shame.
Charlie came in here with his Tar Heels basketball shirt and all his North Carolina stats, and Shane ran him out of the room. Like, really funny. Really funny. Tell the people how you ran old North Carolina frontrunner Charlie out of the room.
Well, first of all, people have to understand. All right, this is a rivalry that's rooted in respect, Charlie. And I said that with love. If I didn't go to Duke, I probably would have gone to Carolina. All right, Coach Williams wasn't there yet. Coach Smith actually recruited me, Dean Smith. I knew he wasn't going to be there for my 4 years. And and I was a Duke guy. But a lot of respect, a lot of love for Carolina. And Carolina fans always love to rub it in my face when Duke loses and Carolina wins. Like Charlie tried to do this morning, which I respect Carolina's run. Great team. They should win the national championship. If they don't, then I'm going to talk about it. But happy they're there. But the reason why I love Carolina, and Carolina fans don't have a comeback for this, I say, I love Carolina. You know why? Because I was 8-3 against them lifetime. All right? When I think Carolina, when I see that Carolina blue, I don't think like, Eric Montross or Ed Code. I think victory. Victory. It makes me happy. Carolina blue is a happy color for me. And so I respect them. I want them to do well. I like Roy Williams. He's a good man and a good coach. I respect those guys. It's not like Maryland. No, I have no time for them. All right.
Wow.
Okay. I'm glad they're in the Big Ten. Okay. They can go. Okay. Carolina.
Wow.
Thank you, sure. But Carolina, I respect and love for many different reasons.
Mike, do you have the Roy Williams looks like over there? Because which one do you think is better here, Shane? Because this is gone from the tournament, unfortunately. They lost this weekend. Shane, at one point, Roy Williams looked like a dentist to us, I believe, who handed out lollipops to the kids. But that's not as good as this one right here, I don't think. You think that Roy Williams looks like this?
Roy Williams looks like the curator of a small-town historical society who patiently gazes out the window for potential visitors all day, sighs, then flips the sign to closed.
That's right. Because no visitors end up showing up. Yeah, he does like that one. He does look like that.
That's funny because he's a nice man. He's genuinely a nice man. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Waiting for visitors all day. Stugatz, you were burying Shane with some stats. What was the stat you were giving him over the break on Duke taking late three?
Someone on Twitter sent this to me. We talked about how many times Duke has taken a three, up by 15 or more this season. It's been a lot, Shane. But against Bryant College, second game of the year, your boy Luke Kennard took and missed a three with 18 seconds to go, with Duke up 38 points.
What was the shot clock at?
Oh, I don't know, and I don't care.
What was the shot clock? Because that's the whole issue here. The shot clock. If the shot clock's off, you don't take the shot. All right, and I highly suspect the shot clock was running down at 18. All right. The Oregon game, there was maybe a 1 or 2 second differential, which you just hold the ball, you eat it, all right, and you don't take it from Steph Curry range. It's the context of the shot against the shot clock and the vicinity, the proximity on the floor, Stu guys.
Listen, people want to beat you.
It's all a sliding scale here.
And listen, this is a tribute to the program, to Coach K. People don't just want to beat you when they beat you, Shane. They want to embarrass you.
Oh,
okay?
No question.
That's what they want to do.
Okay. Well, listen, like Coach K used to say, you got to worry when people stop celebrating when they beat you. That's when the phone stops ringing and people stop caring about beating you. That's when you're in trouble.
So many rationalizations, though, because you should have heard during the break. So Shane asked Stugatz in this 38-point game against Bryant College. This is what actually Shane asked for. Show me the shot chart. As if, and Stugatz's response, accidentally but also appropriately enough, was, I don't have the shot clock. That's what he actually said.
I did.
That's what he actually said.
That's confirmed.
You got a lot of convenient facts, Stugatz. A lot of convenient facts on that little computer over there.
You got to be the only person in front of a microphone defending Duke, though, when Coach K called Altman to apologize to him because this was clearly sore loser stuff. Coach K lashed out at a reporter and said something that wasn't true, that he was forced to apologize for because it was caught on video, and it was just, he was salty about losing. And understandable, by the way. Understandable. Your season's over. Guilty. You're bothered and you're emotional,
Guilty.
But I would argue that Cam Newton was guilty of the same thing.
Guilty.
And we made a big scene about it, and to me, what Coach K did was worse because he was salty, he cut off a reporter, he didn't walk out of the press conference, buried a kid, and lied about burying a kid.
Listen, after a game, you just lost your season. Your emotions are raw. You don't remember what you say in a press game handshake line. And it was a comment where I think it came from a pure place because it was out of respect. It wasn't like Coach K was like, Dylan Brooks, you're a jerk. You're a hot dog. He, as a steward of the game. Remember those? Stewards of the game.
Right.
All right. And again, if you have success in this game, you respect people who have success. I don't care if, I'm not a huge Phil Jackson guy. But if Phil Jackson said, hey, you know what? You should look at the game this way. Respect the game. I'm going to listen.
Why are you not a huge Phil Jackson guy?
I'm just not.
That's it?
No
You're just
reason.
no particular reason? Nothing he did to you? You're just, okay.
This doesn't.
Okay.
Not for me.
Okay.
odd.
Okay. All right.
Hey, but you don't know
Do
why.
I have to like
No,
everybody?
you don't have to. But I thought you'd have
When
a
you don't
reason.
like someone, you have reason.
I thought usually you have reasons for your distaste for someone. I would argue that might have something to do with his arrogance and how much he believes he's responsible for all of the winning that he's done when he's done it on the backs
Great
of
coach.
legendary
One of the
players.
greatest coaches of all time. Just not my cup of tea.
Okay. Very. You know what?
You want me to come?
That was good. No, that was good. That's you coming out of your shell. You dipped your toe in the water, though, but then I'm like, come on in the water. And you're like, no, that's enough. Like, you backed away from the water. Like, you dipped your toe in the waters of freedom and fearlessness. And you're like, oh, it's cold in here. It's cold in here. And I'm like, come on in. Tell me why Phil Jackson? What did he do to you? Tell me the story.
The feeling.
Catch more of the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugats, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
I'm Tristan H. Cockcroft. On the latest fantasy-focused baseball podcast, Eric Carabell and I did a live mock from Mock Draft Monday. We also talked draft values for Hanley Ramirez, Ken Giles, and Hyun-Soo Kim. You can find it in the Listen tab in the ESPN app.
Dan Levatard.
Your answer to my question is we don't know if guys were out or not.
No, we know there are ways to figure this stuff out. I'm just not interested in trying to figure it out.
Stugats.
I'm interested in watching the games and reacting to the games, and that's about it. I react to what I
But
see.
you're reacting to the games with no information.
That's the way I like it.
This is the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options and pick the price that works for you. Jay Williams, 12:15 on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Are we still expecting Ray Allen? What is your confidence level on whether or not Ray Allen is going to join Shane Battier and the show?
My confidence level is still where it was before the show at 50%. They just said, now Shane is right. Ray is swamped at his own restaurant because he did not expect this many people coming into his restaurant. So he is actually taking orders. He is cooking the food. It's crazy. So he said, I don't think I'll be as swamped as I am right now in about an hour. So I'll get back to you guys.
Ray Allen, Hall of Famer, flipping omelets.
Funny.
On the line. Yeah, that's respect.
Well, is it respect or is he just trying to get his business off the ground and wants your money?
His mom came down to support him. He had his mother handing out the food and working. I mean, that's a what do you call a family operation.
You are a loyalist, man. If someone is your friend, whether it's Coach K lying at a press conference or Ray Allen opening a business that may or may not be successful, they've got an advocate in Shane Battier.
I treat people the way I want to be treated.
Right.
If you're in my circle, hey, we're riding.
All right. You're a ride or die.
Ride or die.
I'm in that circle, right?
No, you're not in that
You're
circle.
like in the circle outside the circle.
Oh, okay. I'll take it, though. I'm in a circle. That's close to the circle.
There's some barbed wire and a moat and like a fence around like that circle. So if you want to scale that or cut,
Alligators, all sorts of treacherous man-eating beasts.
But you're in the circle though.
I'm in a circle.
You're in a circle.
Yes, that's close to your circle.
A circle outside the circle.
I'll take it. They didn't have the grand opening on the restaurant. That's what Dan doesn't understand. This is a soft opening. It's not the grand opening. It's not even really open yet. And he has gotten thousands of people coming into his restaurant. So he is forced to cook the omelets and take the orders.
Okay.
I just want to let you know, man, what's going on with Ray.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he may or may not join us.
He's trying to find some time, man.
Texter writes in, deal or no deal, who wants to be a millionaire? Shane either watches a bunch of daytime TV or hasn't watched television in a decade.
I don't watch TV. I don't.
Okay.
Too many other things to do, man.
Well, that revealed itself
I
last
don't.
segment.
What's hot these days?
It's not. Neither of those shows are on anymore.
I watched that show, with little kids last night. I'm like, this is what's popular. 40 million people watch this.
What's the show? The Walking Dead?
I
What
don't
is
even
the
know.
show?
What was Steve Harvey? Who's that guy?
There's a Steve Harvey show where it's like a kid talent show.
Okay.
Little Big Shots.
Yeah, Little Big.
Okay, I don't know. there were some cute things, but
Are you living off the grid?
I'm close. I'm like off social media now. I'm trying to wean myself off all the ego snacks. I call them ego snacks.
They're delicious.
I'm trying to find myself here. Retirement's tough.
I know.
I'm like wandering in the wilderness of post basketball, trying to find what it is.
My diet's comprised of ego snacks.
Yes, that's all he eats. Actually, I want to talk about this with Shane because people don't understand. Shane is uniquely qualified to handle whatever it is that comes after retirement. But I don't think he is served by being thoughtful and introspective. I think it hurts him. I think he's better off being dopey and not going inside and using phrases like ego snacks. This is so hard. I don't think people understand how hard it is to leave the competition, the locker room, the cheering, the going to the arena with a little bit of fear in your stomach because nothing replaces that day that you have to guard Kobe.
Yeah.
People, can you explain to people how hard it is? Because every athlete I've talked to says, man, the first 6 months are great. Yeah. I don't have to get up anymore. I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to exercise. I don't have to run. I don't have to listen to anybody. But it's after those 6 months that it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm walking in the wilderness.
Yeah. Well, first of all, no one wants to hear my sob story. They say, Battier, suck it up. All right, you got a pretty good life. You got a great family. You've had a heck of a run, 13-year NBA career, championships. Good looks, the whole shebang. Save it. But psychologically, it's a lot to take on. And I thought I was bulletproof. I thought I'm gonna step away. I got television on the horizon, and I got this, and I got book, and I got this. It's gonna be easy. Tough. I felt very alone. Felt very, very alone. That no one got me. That I didn't have anyone to tell me my next step. Look, my entire life I've been told how to dress, how to act, where to be. I've had a scoreboard. I've known exactly if I've been great, if I've been bad, I've underachieved, overachieved, if I've been slacking. When you wake up, you don't have that structure. There's two types of people that I've talked to that go through the same thing: people who leave the military, and my former my compadres in pro sports. But it's a very lonely place, and for me, it was always difficult. I went to TV because I had all my life. People said, "Oh, you're going to be great on television. You're opinionated. You're well spoken. It's a slam dunk." I felt so inauthentic on television, and I felt like it was somebody else, and it wasn't me. And I had guilt. I had guilt, and I had a little bit of shame and embarrassment. I was given this unbelievable opportunity, and I knew it was a great opportunity. And I don't begrudge ESPN. They gave me all the chances to succeed, but it just wasn't me.
Well, what was happening there? Why do you think it was inauthentic? You felt like you needed to be presenting someone, broadcaster guy to the public?
Yeah. Whatever the brand of Shane Battier is, and I don't even know what that means, the packaging. I felt I had to live up to that. Instead of my entire life was created based on survival. I wasn't successful because I was talented, and I wasn't successful because I was the hardest worker. It was survival. I didn't have another choice. All right, to take care of my family and to make it, I didn't have a plan B. My plan B was survive, and through that, I learned to work and was unbelievably lucky. I don't have that hunger right now, and it's unnerving.
That's interesting that you say that because I don't even know how one would get that hunger once you've had the successes that you've had at the top of the most competitive environment that you can find, where it's almost literally survival of the fittest. Yeah. And so you're climbing to the top 1% of the top 1% over all sorts of people. The inner cities fighting for money. You're climbing all over to the top of that. I don't even know where you find the challenges that can even. Where, Mike? Give me something. Stugat, somebody, give me something. Where can Shane Battier possibly find anything that resembles the environment that he just came out of for challenges?
Politics,
Yeah,
the competition,
maybe.
Can you be authentic there?
No.
No.
Not today.
but the competition.
I mean, I just swore on air 10 minutes ago.
Well, there's a guy being
Right then, I'm out.
Whether you agree
You're
or
out.
not, there's a guy being authentic who's doing pretty well.
You're
right?
out.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different phenomenon.
Right.
But, and I knew it. I knew at the height of my NBA career that this is it. Game 7, NBA Finals, 6 3-pointers. I was at the mountaintop. And I knew it. And I knew it at that time. It'll never be like this again. And just a petrifying feeling and experience.
It's a cliff, right? It's looking over at the rest of your life, because we've talked about this before. Most people who tell Peyton Manning to hang it up, that he's harming his legacy, they wouldn't want Peyton Manning walking into their cubicle, their office, their CEO, whatever it is, and saying, "Hey, your identity,
Yeah.
give it over
Exactly.
right now at 40, and now you got the rest of your life to live, and it's 4 decades."
Yeah, Kobe and Peyton. It's going to be fascinating 1 year from today to get their thoughts on their first year out. And I worry about them. I worry about Kobe. I do. I worry about Kobe.
I'd worry about his family.
Yes.
Like, your wife has to deal with now having home. Man, this happened to my father and my mother. Like, my father gets fired in his 60s. They take all his stuff off his desk and throw it in a garbage can, his life's work. This is 60. This isn't Kobe Bryant. And he's got to come home all of a sudden. He's lost his identity as the provider, the guy who's at home. And my mom's like, well, what am I going to do with this? This isn't what I married. This isn't what I've lived with all my life. Like, what is this? Now make it Kobe Bryant. Home all the time with no way to feed.
One of the greatest competitors of all time.
Like, that's why it ends so often in divorce. I'm not talking about his situation specifically, but all the time you read stories, like the percentages are high for football players, basketball players who retire and are home, and all of a sudden their wife can't deal with the turbulence. This isn't the guy I married. I'm not used to having this depressed guy around. And furthermore, can't really understand because they don't come from the gladiator spectacle. So they were on the fringes of it, but they can't really understand, because when you talk about being lonely, I don't even know. You hit it, man. Military guys and peers. Nobody else is going to understand it. Who the hell else is going to understand it?
Impossible to understand it. I worry about Kobe more in retirement than any other player to ever play. Seriously. I don't know if he can handle that, man.
Dan Lebatard.
No one will get you fired quicker than Wesley Johnson. No one. Trust me, Dan.
Why would I start trusting you now?
That's a good point.
Stugats.
When did Wes Johnson become a coach killer?
I just made it up.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Get in touch with the show anytime through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Lebatard Show, at Stugats790. The Dan Lebatard Show with Stugats is brought to you by Werner. Go to ESPNradio.com to check out how your bracket is looking in the Werner Ladder Bracket Challenge. Werner, the official ladder of the NCAA Basketball Championship.
Delighted, grateful that Shane Battier is with us all show today. Makes everything, elevates everything, makes it better. Glue guy, even around here. A texter writes in, Stugats, and this is something I hadn't considered. We were talking about college basketball, why people are so critical of college basketball, say it's an inferior product, but don't do that to college football.
Right.
And a texter writes in, college basketball also has the added element of not being too close to the product it once was. That's an interesting point because, Shane, I'm not sure if you played now, you'd play all 4 years of college. Would you?
I would think about it differently. You know, I had a chance to come out my junior year. Would have been a lottery pick. I like college. I wanted to be a college senior. And I wanted to graduate, and I wouldn't trade my senior year for anything. But, you know, I don't begrudge these kids at all for thinking, hey, I need to start the clock in the NBA because the way that the salary structure is, it's better to get that clock started to get your big pay down the road. It's just a different
But it's harmed the product. It has harmed the product in a way that college football hasn't been harmed.
I mean, listen, I grew up in the golden age of the Big Ten. You know, I grew up with the Fab Five, Indiana had Calvert Chaney. Purdue had big dog Leonard Robinson. Sean Rusper at Michigan State for Sean Leonard. I mean, it was a buzzsaw. Big Monday used to be Big Monday.
And they stayed for a while,
and
right?
they stayed, and there were huge matchups, and like that's where I fell in love with college basketball, and there is not that element that there was back in the.
There's no way Tim Duncan stays 4 years now.
No,
there's just no way.
No.
And you've had a couple of players stay 4 years, though.
You don't begrudge the guys,
You've had a few stay 4 years. I'm not certain they've had the opportunities, though. Like, I don't know if Buddy Hield was a guy that NBA teams were looking at until this year, and same with Marcus Page at Carolina. Like,
well,
I don't know.
They hold it against you. The longer you stay, the more they hold it against you. I was on the phone on draft day, all right, which was a really stressful day for me. Should have been the best day of my career, my life. I'm calling Gary St. Jean from the Golden State Warriors. I'm calling Pete Babcock from the Atlanta Hawks, who had picks 3 and 4. And I said, look, even though I'm a senior, I have upside. If you draft me, I'm gonna get better. And so I'm fighting the stigma that at 22 years old, I'd maxed out my potential. And I was going up against Eddie Curry and Kwame Brown and Tyson Chandler, guys who had an amazing ceiling to their careers. And so there's no question. If like the kid Josh Richardson for the Miami Heat, he was a guy who stayed a long time, and he slipped to the second round, even though he's hooping right now. And he's an NBA player. The older you are, you come into the league, they hold that against you.
So you on draft day were actually doing sales? You were making cold calls?
I was making cold calls. No lie, I'm in my hotel room.
Selling yourself, bothering the general managers.
Saying, if you pick me, you will not make a mistake.
I wonder how often people do that. I'm fairly startled by they're not calling you.
No.
You are calling and selling yourself to these general managers on draft day.
Yes. Because I only worked out for the top 6 teams. And so my fear was on that day that all the high school kids would go, and all of a sudden the teams didn't see me in a workout, and all of a sudden I slipped to 12th, 13th, 14th pick. That's real dollars. So it's really easy to check your ego and dignity at the door when you're talking.
Did you feel like you were begging? Did you feel?
A little bit, yeah. I did. And I felt like I just won National Player of the Year, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, national champion, all-time winningest college basketball player of all time, and I'm sitting there like
door to door, going door.
I'm good.
Were you negative selling the other guys?
Good. No, I wasn't.
What a terrible draft that was.
Look at Stugatz. Did you just hear that, Mike? Mike, he always ends up in the sinister place where you negative selling the other guys.
That's part of sales,
I saw Eddie Curry at the buffet.
Yeah.
I saw Eddie Curry. I saw him. He was at the smorgasbord. He was trying to eat the sneeze guard.
That's part of sales.
Have you watched Kwame? Really?
Oh. The dirty game. No. But selling myself. I'm good.
I haven't heard that before.
Take my word for it. I'm good. I'm here to help.
I also love, by the way, that it didn't work.
Oh.
It didn't work, right? It didn't work with the guys you were calling.
Didn't work.
I'm good.
So what's that say
No,
about
you're not.
my salesman skills?
Don Lebatard. Hello. Stugats.
Mellow.
This is the Dan Levatar Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Jay Williams going to join us at 12:15 on the Yale Pennzoil Performance Line.
Thank you if you're watching on ESPNU and Fusion Television. Thank you if you're listening in Charlotte on ESPN 730 or the almost 400 radio affiliates nationwide. Shane Battier in with us. Always grateful that he joins us here for the show. Makes it better, makes it smarter. Texture writes in, Mike Bray looks like an old school detective who closes the blinds of the interrogation room and always gets the confession. Yes or no?
Yes.
I got a dirty cop thing. He's got a dirty. Let's go ahead and just say it. He's got some dirty cop to him. I mean, that's not a clean cop. Like if you're giving him the authority to carry a gun, he doesn't always use it the way that you would like within the law.
That's totally fair.
Just how he looks. We're not saying this is actually who he is. He may be of the very pure spirit. Just how he looks.
It's like Tango and Cash, man. It is. It's like Tango and Cash. It is. Stallone is he's the cop. He's good looking. He's dressed nice. He's this. He's that. He's not doing anything dirty. And then there's Kurt Russell, who is Cash, and that's who Mike Bray is. He's Cash. That's who he is. He's Cash.
Okay. I mean, are you just going to keep repeating things and hope that it sinks in?
I thought it was a good analogy.
Okay, it's not terrible, but you just
He's
keep.
Cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
You keep repeating it.
He's not Tango.
Okay, we got it. Thank you.
Cash.
All right. So Axl Rose, evidently, according to Malcolm Young's son, is going to sing for AC/DC. Now, this is going to be interesting to people of a certain age. I don't know if Shane Battier is of that age. AC/DC. Now, keep in mind, Brian Johnson, he's the front man, or he's been the front man. He can't continue touring because doctors are saying you're going to lose your hearing. You're going to suffer permanent hearing loss, which sounds like a job hazard that I had not considered.
It also is something that's refuted by Brian Johnson, who went on Jim Brewer's podcast and says, there's more to this. That's overstated. I was kicked out.
But I think as a replacement, Mike, that Axl Rose for Brian Johnson has a legendary voice, but that's a good replacement right there. Like Axl Rose can get to where Brian Johnson gets to in terms of voice.
It's an excellent replacement if he shows up.
That's a good point. That stays. It doesn't quit early.
Who is he in sports in terms of a teammate Shane Battier's had? Is it Meta World Peace? Is it? Yeah, that's what we're going with. Yeah, it's wrong. Man, he can be really good here if he makes it to the facility.
Potential. Potential is always enticing.
Yes.
People will always pay for potential.
I want to talk to you a little bit about something we brought up in the local hour about Miami Heat culture, because they've got an interesting situation on their hands. They have groomed Hassan Whiteside. Doesn't really have a precedent in the sport. 7-footer, athletic, falling out of the sky, second round, bouncing through Lebanon, and all of a sudden, Marcin Gortat is saying that's the best shot blocker I've ever seen. He's one of the best rebounders in the league. He's going to get max money. And you were saying during the local hour of our show that you thought you knew what the Miami Heat's culture was, and then you got here and you were surprised by what Miami Heat's culture was. The decision that the Heat have is they don't want to give him max money. He's coming off their bench. Somebody's going to give him max money. They want to convince him to take less and Dwayne Wade to take less so that they can get into the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, and he's probably not going to value the culture that way. He's probably going to want the most money, and I don't blame him for wanting the most money. But can you explain to the audience what you're talking about when you say, I thought I understood the Miami Heat culture? I did not.
Well, when you're outside the Miami Heat culture, you think that Pat Riley runs the team with an iron fist. And I remember playing the Heat, and you'd see everyone come off the bus, Alonzo Mourning, Eddie Jones, Tim Hardaway in suits. Well, everyone else was in tracksuits at the time, velour jumpsuits in the early 2000s. And you heard about the conditioning test, and you heard about just a very almost like militaristic culture. But they won. And when I got here, it was way looser than I expected, but there were standards. And there's a reason why they're a top organization. They hold people to a high standard. And, I don't know what goes on in Cleveland right now. I know LeBron probably tried to take a lot of what he learned in Miami and apply it to Cleveland. But unless that is part of your fabric, it is really, really difficult to get people to buy in. We lived it every single day. We had accountability. I mean, something as silly as we had to tuck in our shirts every day at practice. All right? You're thinking professional basketball players, what does it matter if you tuck in your shirts? But that was a big deal. And the players policed each other on, look like a player. Look like a player. If you look like a player, you're going to play like a player. So it's a microcosm of look, we're all in this together. We're all sacrificing for one thing, and that's to win. And we were lucky because we had a lot of super veterans, Ray Allen, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron, who had made their money. With Whiteside, it's a little bit different. He's a young buck who has had a meteoric rise, on par with maybe Linsanity, who is looking at a big payday. And so the issues are a little bit complex, but he'd have to retain him.
Can you explain to us, can you give us an example of veterans policing LeBron while he was in Miami? Because it would make sense that LeBron would say to himself, I learned the lessons in Miami. I'm going to take them with me. I won here. One of the things that the Heat is going to try to argue with Whiteside is, hey, you didn't become this by yourself. Yeah. You became this with us and because of us. And maybe he buys that. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe LeBron buys it now, but it didn't appear that he bought it when he left. My guess is he thought, I'm going to take what I learned here and I'll just bring it to Cleveland. You told us during the local hour, one guy can't go and take a culture with him, no matter how great he is. Yes. Give us an example of veterans policing LeBron in Miami.
I don't think there's an instance where we had to have an intervention with LeBron and sit him down and be like, you're acting like an idiot. What's wrong with you, man? It was more keeping him in line and not allowing him to stray. All right. Look, all the top players on other teams in the NBA, all right, you take out the Spurs, take out the Warriors, they're freaks. But the top players, the All-Stars, they take a lot of practices off. And if they go through shoot-around, they're not lacing their shoes up. All right? I don't know about their practice habits, but I know that the top players think, I need to rest, I can't tax myself, I'm not going to practice. Well, there wasn't a day where LeBron came in and said, I'm taking a day off from practice. Well, you other schlubs go through the paces, go through a walkthrough. And so, because he felt like a guilt, not to Pat Riley, not to Eric Spoelstra, but to the guys who, did we love practice? No. We made the best of it. But by being there, by having our shirt tucked in, by having our shoes laced up, by working, it brings people who maybe are on the fence into the fold and don't allow them to stray. And that's culture. That's culture. And that's what I thought we did with LeBron. Not only with LeBron, but Dwayne and Chris and everybody. No one was special. No one was different.
If you weren't listening a couple of hours ago, Shane told the story of Hassan Whiteside coming into a tryout after they had won a couple of championships, and he bombed the tryout, if you don't mind, Shane.
To put it mildly. He was at training camp. Here comes in Hassan Whiteside, who, is a freak. 7'2", long, great body. And in practice, he's blocking shots. Didn't play with a whole lot of energy, so you can understand why he hadn't stuck. But at the end of practice, we're running wind sprints. And at the end of wind sprints, we're all tired. A tough day in training camp. Hassan lays down on the floor. And I go over and say, man, get your tail up. We just won 2 NBA championships. We're going for a 3-peat. You see LeBron, you see Dwayne Wade, you see Udonis Haslem laying down on the ground. Man, get up. Get up. You think Riles is going to pay you money to be on this team, laying down like this? And at that point, I was trying to help the kid. I didn't care if he made the team or not. I thought he had talent, but I was trying to help him for his career. And, to his credit, he got up and was kind of apologetic and had a hangdog look on his face and sort of slunk out the gym. And I wrote him off. I'm like, man, he doesn't get it. And it's a shame because he is a freak and he can make a lot of money. We talked about this earlier. Where did it flip? Well, he was playing at the YMCA. He was playing beer league basketball with a bunch of guys who got off work on the factory line playing beer league basketball. And here he is dominating, I'm sure.
He must have been dominating.
Oh, my gosh. I hope. I hope.
Cloverfield.
I know, right? God, that sounds like fun to be him at one of those games.
Something must have clicked and said, look, where'd I go wrong? Where'd I go wrong? And, it's good to see because he's a good dude and a good kid. And he's turned it around in a big way.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Step back and fire three. Got it. The Beard. James Harden and the Rockets head to Cleveland to face LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and the Cavaliers. Cocked it back and rocked it. Oh, the carnage. LeBron James to the cup. While the Cavs are fighting for the 1 seed in the East, the Rockets are in a 4-team race for the final 3 playoff spots in the West. Larson hits a three. Kyrie Irving. The Rockets and Cavaliers, Tuesday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Dan Le Batard.
Go home and tell your wife or girlfriend and see if she makes sweet love to you because you seem so sexy because you've got that Marc Gasol correction. I pounced on a sports radio host because I thought I got him. He said Marc Gasol is from Memphis, but he's clearly Spanish. Got him. Make love to me, honey.
Stugats. You said Marc Gasol correction. Just want to make sure it kind of came out a little fast.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Our thanks to Shane Battier for spending the entire show with us. He's been terrific. We've had a great time. His buddy Jay Williams going to join us here in just a second on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
His new book, Life is Not an Accident, a memoir of reinvention, is available now. He's uncommonly honest, exposed, vulnerable in it. Among the items revealed in that book, I think it was in the book, that he was once $20,000 in debt to Jamal Crawford in the middle of a season from gambling. Shane, give us a good story without having to name names of a debt or a fight that you saw related to gambling on a team plane or in a locker room or anywhere, because cards and women tend to be the things that that guys fight about in the league.
Yeah, early in my career, they actually had to limit the cash on board. It got silly. Where they said, "God, this is actually unsafe. We'll be a target for assault and battery and being assaulted."
Somebody hijacking the bus.
Yeah, early in my Memphis Grizzlies years, I mean, the people brought stacks and stacks of cash, and so had to go to IOUs and lollipops after that.
Jay's with us now on ESPN Radio. Jay, how did you find yourself? And thank you as always for making time for us. How did you find yourself in the position, $20,000 in debt to Jamal Crawford? What was happening there?
It was just craps. You know, it was one of those things where when you lose a lot, which Shane and I most definitely weren't used to, it was one of those things where it's like, what the hell do I do with my free time? And for some reason, after losing, going through that midway through the season, you found different ways to kind of get yourself out of the funk. And one of the things that kind of got me out of the funk was the plane ride always back home. And after those games were over, guys would have beers on the planes, guys would have drinks, and next thing you know, there would be, 4 or 5 guys down in the corner of this private jet. And, you see a whole bunch of cash on the ground, and you see dice, and guys are up there fading each other. And it got into one of these things where you get so competitive, and Jamal and I were so competitive against each other that year anyway on the court that it just translated to off the court. And it's funny how a $500 bet all of a sudden turns into $1,000, and you say bet it back, and then you're down $2,000. You bet it back, and then you're down $4,000. And then he's like, well, you bet it back the whole thing. He's like, well, I'm only going to bet 500. And then you bet back 500, you win it. And you're like, well, bet the whole thing back. And he's like, fine. And then you're down again. It just keeps tripling and doubling and tripling and quadrupling. And next thing you know, you're down 20 stacks. And you're like, this escalated very quickly. I'm just going to go back to the corner and drink my Corona and let this sit for a little while, and then maybe try to play some shooting games later to get myself out of the funk.
He tried to get you to $40,000, right? Like, how did those conversations go? Like, did he demand a check immediately, or how did all of that go?
The conversation usually went, I was only down that amount of money one time, but I remember I went back to my seat and I put my headphones on, and I just saw him kind of like waving me back over. And he got me over one time because, eventually guys just talk trash to you, and we all get lost in the moment. I was like, what? Took the headphones off, took my Corona, went over there, laid down on the ground, and it was his roll. And I faded him like 3-4 times in a row, just trying to throw him off his rhythm. And he hit me over the head again for another $1,000. I was like, you know what? I'm done. And I just went back to my seat, and I sat there like a salty little kid who didn't get a chance to play with the kids on the playground.
Shane was telling us the story in the local hour, and perhaps you could tell the audience that's new to us now of how it is that Jay had all the talent in the world, arrived at Duke, and you guys could all see it. He's one of the best college basketball players I've ever seen. All the things that Buddy Hield is doing now, he did with the ball as a point guard. And it's really unusual to see in college basketball someone that gifted, but needed toughness at the beginning, yes?
Yes, no question. So my question to you, my good friend Jay Will.
Are you saying I wasn't tough? You saying I wasn't tough?
We gave you some.
Say that, Shane?
We gave you some. We gave you some tough love. Nate James, Chris Carroll, myself gave you some tough love. So I know, everyone has great. Shane Battier is a leader story. I want to hear. You know what? Shane Battier is a jerk, and I don't like him. I want to hear that story.
Yes.
America wants to hear when I was the biggest jerk.
Yes.
Dude.
Dan, what are you doing to him? Are you turning him into a media personality right now? I don't know if I feel comfortable with it.
Tell us the story.
Give it comfortable, please.
Give it up.
You know what? When I first met Shane was like God's gift to the earth. I mean, there was nothing that Shane could do that was wrong. And look, I never knew how to play defense, right? So you can only imagine. I didn't even play the damn point guard spot in high school. I was a 3. I was posting people up, and now all of a sudden I'm coming for this team that just lost in the title game the year before, and they don't have a point guard, and I'm supposed to play this position. Now, I'm just thinking about scoring, but I'll never forget we had one of these days in practice where Coach K has different tactics on how he gets on you. And, Shane, I don't know if you remember this. It was earlier in the year for me. And I had gained so much weight. I played my freshman year like at 205 because I was eating all these damn meals with Boozer. He would bring all this food home, and I just kept eating the whole year.
Boozer?
Like 25 for me. Yeah, Boozer was my roommate until he found his eventual wife and then stopped living on campus with me. I was by myself. So I was just out of shape. I couldn't breathe. And Kay would always do things like he would pull me over to his side and try to communicate with me first. And then one of the things that became so annoying until I got used to it, until I realized Shane was on my team, was on my side trying to help me, was that Shane would always reiterate what the hell Coach K had just said to me. So it was one of these things like we're in practice, K's like, hey, look, I need you to, just push the ball off the court, go by your man, right? So then we come back out and we're in the huddle and, we're in the scrimmage and Shane's like, hey, Jay, just blow by your man. And I'm like, Shane, I effing heard you, bro. Like, Coach K just told me the same damn thing.
The teacher's pet. Yeah, it's hugely annoying.
Exactly, right? So then I try to do it. I turn the ball over, as Shane can attest to. I had a lot more turnovers than I did assists that freshman year. And Shane, Coach K was like, hey, goddamn it, Jason, like, take care of the ball. And then Shane, he would come in the huddle, Shane's like, guys, we have to value the ball. I'm like, Shane, I know who the hell you're talking to, bro. You're talking to me. Don't give this thing like where you're talking around me. Like, and it was just one of these things where, like, and the thing was, though, Dan, like, there was nothing I could do right during that practice. And the one thing that I learned that I hated about Shane, but I learned how to love, was that this dude's attention to detail was so on point 24/7. And I spent my whole freshman year just gasping for air because I could barely think, yet alone worry about running a team or worry about when it was time for me to score or when I need to get Shane the ball or Chris Carroll the ball. I never had that responsibility before. So a lot of my earlier time, my freshman year, was just time ended up being pissed off and venting to Johnny Dawkins about it, who, just listened to me and was like, I understand, young fella, and then tapped me on the ass and said, get back in there and go through the fire again.
Well, Jay, I was really hard on you, bub, and but you showed me something. I was probably harder on you than any other person on the team because I saw your talent.
Oh, so much.
And it was so evident that selfishly I wanted to win, and so I knew the only way that we could win was if you were a tough mofo out there, and so I was a little extra hard, but you're an unbelievable competitor and warrior, but I will always be mad at you. You always brought McDonald's into the locker room, all right? And so this is true. Jay Will did puff up a little bit, all right? And so it was booze. Booze and Jay Will would always draw my ire by bringing McDonald's into the locker room.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering.
Hey, I will commend you on this real quick, Dan. I'm sorry for cutting you off, though, but one of the things that I see in teams that I never felt on our team talk about team championship, and then when you there, you got me.
Go ahead, we got you. We got you.
People talk about Buddy Hield winning a championship and being a senior, and being National Player of the Year if he's able to accomplish those 2 feats. The one thing I have to say about Shane, for a guy that and I snuck one National Player of the Year award my sophomore year where he got everything else, but I never won of animosity or hey, like I want to hinder from being who Jay is. Like it's the most amazing feeling, Dan, because I see so much dissension on teams when there are maybe 2 guys that both have this recognition that they could both maybe win National Player of the Year. But like Shane was always so damn uplifting and just saying, hey, go out there, like Jay, give him 40, Jay, give him 50. Like, and it was such a great environment to be around, and I wish that I got a chance to experience that on the next level. But it was something that I know I'll remember at my time at Duke. That was the reason we won it that year. It was like nobody cared who dropped 30 on somebody else. As long as we won the damn game, that's all that mattered. It was such a great feeling because I never experienced that in the league.
His new book, Life is Not an Accident, a memoir of reinvention, is available now. Real quick, 30 seconds. We got to get out of here, Jay. He was a suck-up for Coach K. Shane sideswiped Dana Altman, even though Coach K was clearly and obviously wrong. Clearly and obviously wrong in how he handled all of that. So, Jay, give us 30 seconds. The truth or your Duke bias? Which is going to reveal itself here?
With the Coach K situation?
Yeah, was he right? Was Altman wrong? What? Take a side on something I didn't think someone could take